Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Operator SDK Issue Triage meeting. This meeting will be recorded, so don't say anything you want to be on the internet forever. Okay, let's get started here. This first one, migration guide from 0.19 to 1.0 is outdated and missing steps after the 1.3.0 release. Come on.
Sure. Okay, maybe it's easier if I try to share the screen, or I can try to explain. If we go in the documents, could you go inside? We have then we have migration products to 1.2.02.0 plus. So you suggested that we should have one specific for this specific version. However, the problem that I have been facing is like a lot of people has the legacy one, the latest one that is supported, for example, which is 0.19. So for the person do all these steps, then you need to do from 1.1 to 1.2, a lot of steps manually, then 1.2 to 1.3, a lot with many ones, like this one, because it is recreated from the scratch. Science from 1.2 to 1.3, we make the new version of the plugin as the full. And probably from 1.3 to 1.4, you'll be required to do everything again from the scratch. These big migration steps that you made is recreate the project, scaffold the APIs, then put your code on top of that, and you fix the break chains. So what I would like to try to do is like we have a migration guide that came from the last one before the new layout to the latest one with the new layout, because this would be basically the same, which means create the project from the scratch, scaffold the APIs, then solve the break chains.
So basically what you're saying is there are two ways to migrate. One is you do it for each minor version, or you migrate wholesale from pre 1.0 to the current minor version.
Yeah.
And what we should be doing is keeping the wholesale migration document up to date so that people can jump from pre 1.0 to the current minor version whenever they want. Or if they want to do it step by step, they can do it by individual minor version migration guides, correct?
Yes, but from 19 to 1.0 and from 1.2 to 1.3 and probably from 1.3 to the next release 1.4, the folks cannot do small steps manually. You probably need to recreate the project from the scratch, scaffold the APIs, and then put the code on top of that anyway, and solve the break chains, like when we upgrade the controller runtime dependence, something like that. It has some break change that we describe how to solve. Because this I was trying to know, find a way for we have this migration guide that I catch your point as well. Like, okay, all release we need to update this latest one, probably not, because after the next one, I believe that we don't you have a break chains. It's just when we update some version and this version has a break change, or it's probably just after that, just when we release it 2.0. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like so I see two options: or we make a cheese one to the latest one, or leave a cheese one with a 1.0 1.0 plus, but move it from the migration steps like the other ones or something like that, and leave here one like the latest supported to the old layout supported to the new layout, you know.
So I think originally I was for having one document that would upgrade you from pre 1.0 to 1.0, and then you would follow all of the individual migration guide steps. But after thinking about it for a bit, it would be worth having this wholesale document that will upgrade you to latest. And we should probably get rid of this like 1.0.0 plus and just be like migrating projects from pre 1.0 to latest. And then also having the individual migration guides so that if somebody just wants to jump all the way to like 1.3 from pre 1.0, then they can, or they can do it piecemeal. So I think I will comment to that effect because basically I was saying something different, and now I agree with you.
No, I catch your point as well, you know. But yeah, it's a complex scenario to explain. I hope that I could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'll
it's
just
fine.
say,
So do you think that we should, for example, migrate that document 1.0.0 that we have now to the migration steps for that small ones, and if make a copy of this one and update it for the latest? What do you think? For we have the both scenarios, you know, if someone would you like it to specifically to 1.0.0 and then
No. So my understanding is we would change this one to go
to the latest.
pre one to the current release.
Sure.
And then we would have the individual ones that we always do every release.
Okay. It's because I believe that we don't have it 19 to 1.0.
I don't know if we want people to go to 1.0 now.
Yeah. So perfect.
You probably want them to go from 0.19 to whatever we're shipping. At the time we did it, it was the latest was 1.0.
For me, makes sense as well. Just to see our options and see what you think as well.
cool. Do you want to do this, or does anybody else?
Now it's less steps. I think it has just a cheese break change that I put there. If someone would like to take that change, also feel free to ping me. I can help to know what is required to do to update the document.
You can work on this. This is Rashmi.
I cannot do too much PRs. I think I have other ones in my plate. I need to stop to be craziness.
That's fine. Rashmi, do you want this to go into a particular release milestone or backlog?
Probably backlog. I don't know.
Sure. Thank you. Helm operator feature request. For CR delete, add option to wait until all resources are deleted before removing the final Azure.
This points towards the feature ask, which is 4102. I know that Joe has been looking at that or commenting about Helm wait.
So
this all seems related.
Can you guys hear me? I'm the one that with this issue.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank Operator SD community on behalf of my team and our customers for providing this Helm operator. We use it for deployment as well as a mechanism for application delivery across multiple clusters. So the reason I created this issue is it's a little bit different from the Helm install wait, because that one wait until all the stuff are actually ready. This wants to wait until all the resources are deleted. And currently, it seems like the Helm operator delete left behind some resources. that are hard to know, like hard to know which resources are left behind or not. Because on a customer side, it's across multiple clusters, so it's hard to check the logs and stuff. And we've been making upstream contribution to try to improve upon this. But I think we really need something like this so we can block block the resource from being deleted. So it has something that we can see from a centralized location to see that, hey, not all the resources are deleted yet, because it's a security issue as well if there is resources left behind.
You're saying you're seeing that Helm will actually remove the finalizer before all the CRs are deleted?
No, the CRs are deleted, but the resources that's related to the Helm release are not fully deleted yet, because first of all, it behaves async manner. Second of all, unfortunately, how Helm uninstall works is even if there's some errors during the Helm uninstall, they still consider it uninstall completed. So it always, it's not the most ideal situation here. So that's why I created this issue.
Gotcha.
So so this was sort of my attempt on PR to fix it, but this is for if there's some problem with the Helm uninstall that it reports back. But even if there's no error coming back, we still, or optionally, we still there's an option so I can watch all the resources related to this Helm release is deleted before the CR is gone. Because from a centralized location, all we have is the CR across multiple clusters. So the only easy visibility is to watch the CR. And if it's gone, then we claim that all the resources are deleted, but in fact, in some cases are not true.
Okay. That seems like a reasonable request as far as I understand things. I will make a quick note. I was just looking through this, and you're saying that this is a breaking change. So this will fundamentally alter how the Helm operator operates, correct?
Yes, this fix is for another issue. Yes, this will fundamentally change, but the feature ask I'm currently asking is an optional flag, and I think they're both independent of each other.
Okay. So to not to harp on this for too long, but because this is a breaking change, this actually couldn't go in until 2.0.
Right.
So I'll actually just milestone this is 2.0 for right now.
And remote.
It's optional.
What was that?
Why not just do this, but only if you throw a flag?
Yes, we actually prefer this one because the other one, it's still sort of hacky. We prefer having this feature implemented because it's optional. It's an optional flag.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot better than this can go in before 2.0. Do you have time to investigate and work on this?
Yeah, we can work on this.
Amazing.
One question we have want to ask is, what about the testing? Because we didn't see any unit tests from the uninstall side. Do we modify the E2E test to make sure everything's good?
So you're saying that there are reconciler tests, but they're none for the uninstall command. Is that correct?
Need that much? I don't see that much unit tests for just on the package side, but I do see some E2E tests, I think. And I'm wondering what's the best way to have automation tests for this?
I can follow up after this meeting on this issue and just give you some links to what you would need to modify.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for taking this on. Do you expect to be working on this fairly soon?
Yes. It'll be our priority.
Cool. So I can put this in the 1.5 milestone. That'll give you like 3 or 4 weeks to work on it. Does that
Okay.
sound reasonable? And
Yep.
if you find that you can't get it done by then we can move it elsewhere.
Okay, thank you.
Ansible operator defaults on macOS results in no such file or directory when running Docker make targets.
Yeah, he basically it turns out that the make file does a shell equals, and when they comment that out, it goes away. The problem goes away. When we scaffold out a Go project, I don't see a shell being set in the make file, but for Ansible and Helm, we are setting one. I don't know why yet. Like what? There clearly was a reason. Now the question is,
I think it was originally to solve the whole like sourcing the mtest installation script, which is kind of broken in master upstream, and we need to figure that out. But I believe that is why this is happening. So this is effectively a bug.
yeah, he can't build the operator using the make file on a Mac.
Okay.
Without if he comments it out, he can get it to work. And I looked at the makefile actual Docker build target. It doesn't rely on it. It just says Docker build. But because it's evaluating the environment variables, one of the first ones is the shell.
Cool. Thanks for commenting, Austin. Would anybody like to take this on?
If nobody wants it, I can take it.
I can look into this.
Barsha, was that you?
Yep.
Do you think you can look into this soon?
Yeah, I can. There's already a PR for this, if I'm not wrong. I can just take a look.
Okay.
I can check this out also.
I'll put it in 1.5
Yep.
in that case. CSV spec descriptors for type pulled from wrong GVK. Right. I was actually looking into this a little bit on Friday. I believe this is a bug where the versions of the same kind are not respected because of how the types are collected in the CSV generator. And the issue author did some investigation and basically found out where that's happening. I think this might take more effort than I'd originally hoped to refactor just because of how types are collected. But I do think that this is solvable. So I will look into this and hopefully have a fix out fairly soon, but probably not for 1.4. I'm thinking this is more like a 1.5 timeline. And I have confirmed that this is a bug, so I'll also add that label. Golang quick start master changes brings confusion. So Camilla, if you want to go through this, you can. Otherwise, I can summarize because I think I understand basically what you're saying.
Yeah, if you want, I can show just to share. Can I show the screen?
Sure.
Share. Let's see if I can share here. A moment. So would be like this one. Share. Desktop. I share everything. So can you see my screen, folks?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, here we have in the latest release, we have the Golang. So we try to do when we did the 1.0.0 release was like we try to make the quick starts very quick. The idea was like users just copy and paste the command. So create a project, the main cache one, scaffold the API to the main cache, build and push, and deploy the operator. And just, So for Ansible, we have, if you check Ansible, have exactly the same, is doing exactly the same, create the project, scaffold the API for the main cache, push, and blah, 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 blah. For Helm, is the same as well. Oh, sorry. Is the same as well, the same steps, exactly the same. And the other thing that we agreed was like not to put the symbol in front of to make easy to copy and paste. And we put this note because a lot of beginners user, doesn't know that the image needs to be pushed to a registry, that it is need to be made be public for be able to pull the image for the operator works at the end. So then the other thing that we did was like put it generic because we in the Red Hat know what a quail is. A lot of people knows, but other people doesn't know. I remember in the get started when my husband once when was trying to use operator, he asked him for me, what is quail? Was confusing for him. And I explained, it's like Docker Hub AO. And okay, now I catch it. And a lot of people doesn't know, so because this we try to make it generic. If we look the master chains now in the quick start, I think I got to the goal. We have now how to deploy it with the operator lifecycle manager, which shows great. And then we have the direct deployment. So I think this was the motivation of the change. But in my humble opinion, my personal opinion, maybe the others thinking other way. So it's a good place to say. If you put the nodes in the middle, it'll be hard for them cut and paste, can be confusing. The query stuff into the export, maybe we can simplify because we can just put it directly. The commands will be just 2 lines. And now, if we compare, Ansible and Helm doesn't have, now has the bundle stuff. So yes, so has the same steps. This is great. And the other point was like, if we came in Golang, I think this you agreed as well. If we came here, this note shows, at least in my opinion, that should fit well in the FAQ instead here because it's more like
It
not
gets
affects
lost.
everybody.
I agree. I think that gets lost there.
And my last question would be like, should we really put the bundle stuff here? Because we have, if you came here, we have a bundle kickstart that in my opinion should be something like that, just a few lines, cut and paste. And because she shows more the tutorial standards that we have now. So maybe it's a suggestion. I'd like to know what you think. Maybe we have a bundle kickstart, very easy, and then move it for a tutorial. And maybe instead if we put the bundle steps here, we could just like put the link here. You are able to, use the bundle, follow these steps, instead of have it all in one place.
So I agree with a lot of your points where the variable naming could be slimmed down a decent amount. And there's also, and yeah, that note could probably be moved to the FAQ, which is exactly where people go when they have issues. Either that or they search GitHub issues. So yeah, that should be moved. But I do disagree that the OLM installation steps should be moved. I think that they should, if anything's going to be removed, it should be the make deploy steps, because you're using the Operator SDK because you want OLM integration, not because you want a generic controller project. If you wanted that, then you would be using KubeBuilder. So I think that should stick around, but I also think that we should rename the bundle quick start to bundle tutorial, just because this is a quick start already. This is telling you exactly how to use run bundle and make bundle. So I agree with pretty much everything else except for that.
Okay, so this is fine. So just to recap, we can remove the export, put it directly, use the generic stuff, remove this for the FAQ, keep the bundle here because you want the people knows how to use that. I think it has other reasons as well. I could have a SDK because I want the scorecard feature and all other stuff, but I agree with you. This is the biggest advantage. And ensure that always equals and rename where was now I lost myself.
OLM integration.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it is for a tutorial. Okay.
I agree with that.
Cool. I can actually take this one on because I have some ideas for how to rename and reorganize things. And I was doing a bunch of quick start reorganization earlier.
Sure. Let me know if I can help at least with the review to be faster.
Sure, I'll let you know.
Really, thank you, folks.
Cool. I can share my screen again.
Yeah, please. How I can do that? Lost myself. Where? Stop to share here.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you for the patience.
Yeah, of course.
Glad somebody's looking. Keeping us honest.
Yeah. And I'll throw that into 1.5. I'd like to get that done sooner, but I don't know if I'll have time. GitHub action to install Operator SDK. So this is a request to create a GitHub action and host it on the marketplace to install the Operator SDK binary and I guess related dependencies. It looks like there is already one in the marketplace. This isn't supported by, or it isn't owned by the Operator framework. So it's not like an official one, but at least that exists. I think this is a relevant feature request. Maybe we can talk to this author about getting that into Operator framework.
I don't understand what they mean by GitHub action. Do you mean a GitHub action that installs Operator SDK and the execution environment the GitHub action is executing in? Or do you mean like...
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So you just point it to a version and it'll install Operator SDK.
then it could be helpful to create the tests and things like that.
Yeah, because it sounded based on the issue, like if they wanted to have OLM installed and then say Operator SDK run bundle, they could do it in their tests and actually validate things or run scorecard or whatever other needs they want to run in GitHub Actions.
Could they not use the Docker image?
Yeah, they could. Yeah, I
Probably,
don't see why
yeah.
not.
At least for the short term.
Yeah, at least for the short term. That's actually a relevant thing to post here. Austin, can you make a comment on this about that?
Sure.
Just like an FYI, you can also use a Docker image, this Docker image, but also maybe a GitHub action is also like relevant.
I really like it, the idea.
Yeah.
Shows fancy.
Does anybody have any interest in taking this on?
I wouldn't mind looking at it.
Sure. Actually, I want to ask the author if they want to work on this first. And then if they say no, then
Okay.
assign yourself.
Hey, Zeus, if you end up working on it, I toyed a lot with the GitHub Actions for the Ansible stuff, so I can help out with stuff you run into with that too.
Awesome. You were the first person I was going to ask.
Does anybody have a link to the Docker image handy? I'm not logged into Quay at the moment, so I don't have my stuff.
I think I can find it. If you want, I can add it to the thing.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Cool. Enable scorecard to override image pull policy.
I can talk a little bit about this because I talked with Jeff about it the other day.
Sure.
Basically, this ticket was written because we realized when you're writing custom scorecard tests, if you're using a custom test image, you can be using an older cached version of the image on OCP. So our fix was like just to manually override it to always pull for a new image as opposed to checking if one is present in the cache. And the ticket basically we opened to say, oh, what if there was an optional configuration you can feed in when you create your scorecard test to say, okay, always pull. That way you just don't have to go in and manually change it later. And if you don't specify that option, for the behavior to stay exactly the same as it is. And you can assign this to me. I've been messing with it for the last couple of days anyways, since I've needed it. So
sure. Before we do assign you though, so what if we just change the pull policy to be always in the test pod? Like, are we really losing out on that much performance wise?
We're not really. The big thing is if people want to just default to hitting a cache instead of pulling for whatever purpose, we said, oh, let's just default to the cached image, but we can just set it to default to getting the image every time, and then make it optional to do use the cache version.
Yeah, I think maybe just given that like you could hit bugs if you expect or if you're using some tag and the tag gets cached and the user doesn't know that it's cached, it might be worth, on top of adding this config policy, to switch the default to always and document that if you want to hit the cache, you should use it not present.
Yeah, because that's pretty much exactly what we hit on Thursday was, trying to run a test and it was like, wait, the image is out of date. Why is this not working? So yeah, I feel like that's not an unreasonable default.
Okay. Cool. Do you want to add this to an upcoming release?
I didn't think about that, but we could. Is that?
Do you have time to work on it, do you think?
I would probably end up working on it after next week. So like if we're adding it to an upcoming release, probably like one after the next would be a more realistic target. Just because
so,
if you're to actually get the test image out before fixing the config for the tool for the test image.
So that'd be 1.5 in that case.
I think so.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, so that is everything. We will be releasing 1.4 next week, I believe. That if that is when the 3rd is, yes, correct. Yeah. So everybody who has issues assigned, please work on those and try and get PRs in for this week so we can review and get them merged before next week.
Should it not be better we wait for the Kube Builder project version stable? Because I believe that we are very close to that.
Well, we already use an alpha project version right now, so I don't really see why we would need to wait for that. I don't think it's worth blocking an SDK release for something like that unless it's a Kube Builder version. And even then, we would only block a release like by a few days if given the policy that we put forth. So I would rather not do that.
Yeah, the work will be the same after that. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wanted to chat for a bit about my refactor PR.
Sure.
So Eric, you've been going back and forth with me last week, and I appreciate that. But a lot of your proposed alternative solutions, I feel, don't really address the problem I'm trying to solve. And I feel like that maybe there's been a fundamental miscommunication about what I'm trying to achieve.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen?
Ooh, now you're talking.
I can also do that.
I mean, really, I just want a whiteboard.
It might be helpful for people to see what we've discussed already.
Sure.
I'll share my screen.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, this isn't really globally applicable. So if you don't want to, argue about tests, feel free to.
Everybody wants to do that, so everybody's going to stay on. Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're trying to do first?
Okay, so for those of you who have not been on this crazy train, I am trying to refactor the relationship between the command layer, specifically starting in the packet for the generators, and the part formerly known as the package layer, but now it's like an internal something or other. So basically, the current state of this interface point is in the command part, the Cobra command part. You have to set a couple callback functions to pass along some of the needed information, and then later it calls back, or it makes a call to the actual generator function. Then in the generator function, it calls those callback functions to get some of the needed data, and then builds the generator and generates the thing on disk. I'm trying to write unit tests for everything in the command line, and this is why I decided to start, because I felt I could do some refactoring in this to make this easier to test. The thing I thought to do was to refactor this relationship as an interface that I could fake out with a Golang package called Counterfeiter. If you're not familiar with Counterfeiter, basically it's a command line tool. You feed it a Golang interface, fake out the foobar interface in this directory, and it will generate a parallel implementation of that interface with a whole bunch of helper methods that you can use to manipulate the fake implementation in a test. So like, let's say you have this foobar interface and it has one function, Baz. And you have like, you call out to Baz and you pass some information, it goes and does something. In the test, you inject your fake Baz and like say before you execute the test that is going to make the call to the Baz method, you can say, when the first time Baz is called, return 1. The second time it's called, return 2. And then you execute the test, and then you can call out to more fake methods that are like, the first time Baz was called, what arguments was it called with? And so on and so forth. So it lets you, extract the information out of that relationship point to verify that your package is behaving correctly. So I wanted to refactor this interface to take advantage of counterfeiter. And another sort of hard anti-goal for me was I didn't want to have to hand roll anything. So whatever solution I came up with, I wanted to counterfeiter generate me a fake interface and just go from there. I didn't want to have to roll anything by hand. So the actual refactor itself was pretty substantial. I really didn't like the callback structure because I felt it was confusing, and I wanted to condense this interface into a single point, a single handoff from the command layer to the package layer, if that was at all possible. And it was pretty different from the currently existing structure, so I had to move stuff around quite a bit. Now, there are downsides to my approach. Can you bring up the actual interface itself that I made? Generate package manifest. No, you had it. Yeah. So the main sticking point, it seems to me, that I've been going back and forth with Eric, is that my interface that I came up with is not completely generic. Eric wanted, and I wanted, although I don't see a way around this, to just have a generate interface that has a single generate method that's generic for all the generators. So I don't have to come back and keep adding generate package manifest, generate foobar manifest, generate this other kind of manifest, whatever. But I don't see a way around that. And the reason is if there was just a single generic generate package generate manifest method in the interface, I would have to have some way to pass along the information that's unique to each particular generator. And I don't, he proposed, keeping the callbacks, adding a constructor method. But the problem I have with each of those is I would, in the unit test for the command layer, have to figure out some way to fake those out, which brings me back to my original problem of having to write fakes by hand, which I don't want to do. However, in support of this implementation, I feel like it's not too verbose, because I'm going to have to change this file like once to add a new method every time we add a new we refactor a new generator, add a new generator. And I did go out of my way. So the arguments that are listed by explicitly operator name, version, output, dirst, and ops, or rather not ops, the first three, those are the ones that are required. Everything that is optional, I shoved into an options struct. So the idea is when this generator interface does change by like we add a new optional feature, by like we added some new flag in the command, that the process would be you add that to the options struct. Because the interface didn't change, you don't have to change the generated fake at all. You don't have to change the interface at all. This should not change. The generated fake doesn't need to be regenerated. You would just add it to the struct, add it to the generator, write the unit tests in the generator layer, and then go and do whatever you want to do in the command layer. So it's like a write once, read forever, hopefully, sort of thing.
Right. So my suggestions, I think, like you mentioned, were using another type of callback, which is basically you have these like new command constructors that will actually construct the Cobra command and hooks the generator up to the CLI. You would pass in this like new generator func that will take the command and args and output a generator that can then be run.
Like I said, in a unit test, I would have to manually write my fake new generator func, which I don't want to do because I'm lazy.
Yeah. So to back up here, the whole goal of this refactor is to decrease the amount of effort that you have to put in to write a counterfeit generator. And that is the main goal here. And that's the whole point of even using a counterfeiter in the first place, is to not have to do that much and be able to test the CLI pretty easily. And as I'm sure a lot of people on this call know, that testing CLI is a pain in the ass. So that's a desirable feature.
So if you, how do I phrase this question? So if we go with the one that Eric, you just said, Jonathan mentioned that he would have to create in the test this generator function for each of the tests, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And every time you added a new feature that changed how the generator works, you would have to modify the fake by hand.
Yeah, which is not
okay.
What we
and
want.
then without this mechanism, every time the current implementation, every time we add a new one, we have to add a new function.
Sorry, do you mean
this one?
When you say current, do you mean this one, the one I wrote?
Yes, yeah, the one you wrote.
So you would have to add a new function in this interface every time you made a new kind of generator.
Okay.
Which I don't know how often we do that. If you wanted to change an existing generator's behavior, assuming the changed behavior is an optional behavior, like we added a new flag to the generate command, you would add the new flag to this option struct, and that's how it gets passed through. You would not have to change the interface. You would not have to regenerate the fake.
Okay.
Right. My problem with this approach is you are abusing interfaces, because you're not supposed to have an interface that, like, you're not supposed to define an interface for something that you're not using as an interface, which is basically what like saying generate package manifest is, because it's not generic, it's for package manifest.
Yeah.
But I think a good compromise would be, instead of just having this like top level generate SDK interface, you basically move this file into like package manifest, wherever that is. So you create like a new directory for package manifest, and you expose generator interface, and it just says generate with all these different options. And then you have one of these files with an interface definition for cluster service version that has another generate method. And
So
then that way you keep this whole like generator interface, but you have specified, or you can make it specific to package manifest or CSV.
So each one would still have generate, so it looks generic,
Yeah.
but because of where it lives, that makes it specific to that area.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as
makes
not
sense.
even using an interface, but
see.
you are wrapping it in an interface so that you can generate a fake for it.
Okay. That would mean we'd have to keep a whole bunch more fakes around in different places instead of just in one place.
But you would still be able to auto-generate all of those fakes?
Yes.
Cool. Do you think that's a reasonable compromise in that case?
I mean, I personally don't have a preference for one implementation over the other. If I would say, the current one would be my preference, but only because it's less bookkeeping.
Right.
But if you want to move itself back into its own interface, that's fine.
I think that would be the best, because even though it's like less quote unquote bookkeeping when you're writing tests, if I have to change a method here, then it breaks the interface for all other users of this interface outside of the test fakes, which I would like to avoid. So if you can compartmentalize the interfaces into their own packages, then it solves that problem.
I don't quite understand how that's a problem, because in either case, you'd have to regenerate one fake. Isn't that the same amount of work?
Well, I'm not talking about tests anymore. I'm talking about actual like implementations of Generate SDK.
Because these are going to be used in the live CLI as well, not just the test, right?
Yeah, so to avoid like this weird merging of dependencies into one interface, the compartmentalization makes the actual coding of the implementation easier.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I'm okay with that refactor, and you can scrap everything else that I said in here. These are not workarounds that help. Yeah.
It gives me warm and fuzzies.
Good. That's what we want.
One other thing, this is so currently the molecule tests are failing on this branch, and I don't think they should be, but I also can't restart the tests. And I don't
yeah, well, you can. Watch this. This will actually take a minute, but it will kick this test. Yeah, or you might have to rebase because actions work weirdly like that.
Wait,
but
is it dependent on what actions are defined in the head branch?
No, you might have to re-kick this to get the latest. Actually, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. It depends on when you rebase this last, but I've seen some weird behavior with actions before. Anyway, this should re-kick this test. I guess we'll see very soon.
I mean, wouldn't the docs ones kick off super quick? They usually do.
Because an action has to run before this action gets kicked off, it takes like almost exactly a minute from what I've seen.
Okay. Well, I'll figure it out. So I'm going to move the interface back into its own subdir, but other than that, keep everything as is. That's what we're going with?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
Cool.
All
right. Awesome. Yeah, that was a good conversation. And yeah, if anybody has anything else that they want to discuss, feel free right now. And in the future, definitely bring these things up, especially if we have time. Cool. Unless anybody has anything else that they'd like to say, we can end it here.
I'm good.
Cool. I'll stop
Okay.
recording now.
See you later.